Have you ever sat down to work, determined to be productive, only to find yourself mindlessly scrolling through social media, watching random videos, or staring at your screen, unable to start? You know you have tasks waiting, deadlines approaching, responsibilities piling up, but no matter how hard you try to will yourself into action, your brain just won't cooperate. And then the guilt sets in. Why am I like this? Why can't I just get things done like everyone else? You start to believe that maybe you're just lazy, lacking discipline, or simply unmotivated. But what if I told you that what you're experiencing isn't laziness at all? What if the problem isn't that you don't want to do the work, but that your mind is too drained to function properly? This is called mental exhaustion, and it's far more common than you might think. Yet, most of us don't recognize it for what it is. Instead, we blame ourselves, we push harder, we shame ourselves into thinking we're just not trying hard enough. But the truth is, mental exhaustion can make even the simplest tasks feel impossible. So, if you've ever felt stuck, unmotivated, or constantly battling procrastination despite wanting to be productive, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not lazy. Your mind is simply running on empty. But why does this happen? What's draining your mental energy? And most importantly, how can you recharge and get back to feeling like yourself again? Let's dive deeper. What is mental exhaustion? Imagine your brain like a battery. Every task you complete, every decision you make, and every stressful situation you encounter solely drains that battery. At the start of the day, you might feel energized and ready to take on the world. But as the hours pass, answering emails, attending classes or meetings, juggling responsibilities, dealing with emotional stress, your mental energy starts depleting. And just like a phone that hasn't been charged, when your battery gets too low, things stop working the way they should. Your focus disappears, simple tasks feel overwhelming. Even activities you usually enjoy start to feel like a burden. Signs of mental exhaustion. Does this sound familiar? Struggling to focus. You sit down to work, but your brain feels foggy. You reread the same sentence over and over, yet nothing sticks. Feeling overwhelmed by simple tasks, things that once seemed easier, replying to messages, organizing your workspace, making small decisions suddenly feel like climbing a mountain. Constantly procrastinating, even when you want to work. You know what needs to be done. You even want to do it, but instead, you find yourself scrolling through social media, watching videos, or doing anything except the task at hand, experiencing mood swings or irritability. Everything feels frustrating, even things that normally wouldn't bother you. You feel impatient, easily annoyed, or just emotionally drained. Physical exhaustion and brain fog. Mental fatigue doesn't just affect your mind, it affects your body too. You feel sluggish, unmotivated, and no amount of caffeine seems to help. This isn't laziness, it's burnout. Many people mistake these symptoms for laziness. They think, if I just tried harder, I could get things done. But that's not how it works. Laziness is a lack of desire to do something. Mental exhaustion, on the other hand, is when your brain simply doesn't have the energy to function properly. Your mind isn't broken, it's just tired. And the more you push yourself without addressing the real issue, the worse it gets. So instead of blaming yourself, let's figure out what's really draining your energy and how you can start recharging. The science behind it. Your brain is an incredibly powerful machine, working behind the scenes every second of the day. Even when you're not consciously thinking about something, your brain is processing emotions, managing responsibilities, making decisions, and dealing with subconscious stress. Now, imagine loading up your computer with dozens of programs running at the same time. At first, it might keep up, but as more and more processes demand its attention, it slows down, overheats, and eventually freezes. Your brain works the same way. When it becomes overloaded, whether from constant decision-making, emotional stress, information overload, or a lack of proper rest, it goes into survival mode. Instead of efficiently tackling tasks, it starts to shut down non-essential functions to conserve energy. That's when you experience mental fog. You can't think clearly, and even simple tasks feel confusing. Lack of motivation. The things you normally enjoy or feel excited about suddenly seem exhausting. Procrastination and avoidance. Your brain, in an effort to protect itself, pushes you toward mindless distractions instead of difficult tasks. Guilt and frustration. You recognize that you're not being productive, which leads to self-criticism, making the exhaustion even worse. The cycle of mental exhaustion. This leads to a vicious cycle. When you feel exhausted and unmotivated, to 2. You struggle to complete tasks. 3. You start blaming yourself for being lazy. For that guilt adds more stress, making you even more exhausted. 5. Your brain shuts down further, making productivity feel impossible. The harder you try to force yourself out of it, the worse it gets because self-criticism doesn't refill your mental battery. Why beating yourself up only makes it worse. A lot of people think that the best way to overcome laziness or procrastination is to be stricter with themselves using shame or guilt as motivation. But science tells us the opposite. Studies show that self-compassion, being kind to yourself instead of harshly criticizing your lack of productivity, actually helps you recover faster. When you acknowledge your exhaustion rather than fight it, your brain gets the permission it needs to reset and recharge. So, the next time you catch yourself thinking, "Why am I so lazy?" try replacing it with, "What's draining my energy right now? How can I take care of my mind so I can work better?" Because chances are, you're not lazy. You're just mentally exhausted, and that's something you can fix. How to recharge your mental battery. So, if you're not lazy but mentally exhausted, what can you do to refuel your brain and break free from this cycle? The key is recovery, not just rest. Your brain doesn't just need a break, it needs the right kind of break to regain its energy. Here's how you can start recharging. 1. Take intentional breaks. Rest isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Most of us push ourselves to the limit, thinking that grinding through exhaustion is the only way to succeed. But the truth is, pushing harder when you're mentally drained only leads to burnout. Your brain needs deliberate, guilt-free breaks to function at its best. Try the Pomodoro technique. Work for 25 to 45 minutes, then take a 5 to 10 minute break. Step away from screens. Real rest doesn't come from scrolling on social media. Spend time in nature. Just 10 minutes outside can lower stress and boost creativity. 2. Move your body. Even a short walk can re-energize your brain. Mental exhaustion isn't just about your mind. Your body plays a role too. When you're sitting for hours, staring at a screen, your circulation slows down, and your energy levels dip. Take a quick walk. Movement boosts blood flow and improves focus. Stretch or do deep breathing. This can instantly reduce stress and clear brain fog. Dance, do jumping jacks, or just shake it out. Get your energy flowing again. 3. Fuel up. Your brain runs on what you eat. Think of your brain like a high-performance car. It needs premium fuel to run smoothly. If you're constantly feeding it junk food, caffeine, and sugar, you're setting yourself up for energy crash. Eat brain-boosting foods like nuts, eggs, dark chocolate, and leafy greens. Stay hydrated. Even mild dehydration can cause fatigue and brain fog. Cut back on excessive caffeine. Yes, it helps short-term, but too much can lead to energy crash and anxiety. 4. Get real sleep. No, scrolling at 2 a.m. isn't relaxing. You tell yourself, "I'll just watch one more video before bed." Then suddenly, it's 3 a.m. We've all been there, but the reality is, your brain needs deep, quality sleep to recover. Without it, you'll wake up even more exhausted than before. Stick to a consistent sleep schedule. Going to bed and waking up at the same time helps your brain reset. Limit screen time before bed. Blue light from screens messes with your sleep hormones. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Not just quantity, but quality matters too. 5. Stop the guilt. Resting doesn't make you lazy, it makes you human. One of the biggest reasons people stay stuck in exhaustion is guilt. You feel like you should always be doing more, so you push through burnout instead of taking a break. But here's the truth. Rest isn't wasted time. It's what makes productivity possible. Instead of thinking, "I should be working right now," remind yourself, "Taking care of my mind helps me perform better in the long run." Final thought. Are you really lazy, or just mentally exhausted? Next time you find yourself struggling to focus, procrastinating, or feeling drained, don't jump to the conclusion that you're lazy. Instead, pause and ask yourself, have I been getting enough sleep? Am I constantly overwhelmed or stressed? Have I given my brain the rest it actually needs? Chances are, your body and mind aren't failing you, they're begging you to recharge. Take care of your mental energy, and watch your productivity, motivation, and happiness come back to life. Want more tips on mental health and productivity? Subscribe and stay tuned.